Welcome to the Perfect Life Awakening Show, hosted by Royce Morales. Royce has been a transformational facilitator, teaching groundbreaking, spiritually based courses for more than 4 decades. She is the author of 3 books about her teachings. Join Royce as she takes you on a journey into how to live your best life and find your true purpose through discovering the origins of subconscious, disempowering notions and releasing them. She talks with experts and inspiring people just like you who learned to trust their intuitive inner wisdom, which led to life-changing shifts. Today, her guests live an empowered existence and are helping change the world to a higher consciousness place based on truth and love. You deserve to awaken to, align with, and embody your true self and live a life filled with love. Transform yourself from triggered to empowered and create your perfect life. Here is your host, Royce Morales.
Welcome, everybody. I'm so excited, as always, to have my guest today talk about such an interesting topic. We were just talking before we went on the air about how people just don't get it. There's so much more to what goes on in our homes than we realize. And to be able to tap into that is really important. And I just, before I introduce her, I just have to tell my one amazing story. And I've had many amazing stories in terms of recognizing energy going on in a home. But this one sticks with me because it was so profound. One of my students had a friend, and this friend kept talking to her about just feeling something weird going on in her house, and she had no idea what it was. And so she called me up, and I went to her house. It was somewhere in the valley in Southern California. And I walked in, and the minute I walked in, I knew that there was something going on there. And so I sat down and I meditated and I asked, and what came to me was that the house was built on sacred Indian ground, Native American ground. And I started being flooded with information about this and how angry they were and how dare these people do this to their sacred land, and told me all these things. And I relayed the information to her and helped clear it out and, promised that restitution in some way would be made. And afterwards, I got a phone call from her that the neighborhood, they had like a little community newspaper that they did, but that they had printed a story about the origins of this land and how it was Native American burial ground and it was sacred. And they did this whole story about it. And I thought, oh my gosh. So it was quite a confirmation of the information that I received, but it was also, I thought, important for this community to understand what was going on, because I'm sure other people were having issues with that. So there are things going on that we need to be aware of. And my guest today, Margaret Solorio, is an intuitive guide, and she's an energy mentor. She's the author of Make Ease Your Vibe. I love that title. And she helps people clear unseen energetic clutter, which she will explain. I love that term, energetic clutter. We're so concerned with clutter, but let's talk about energy too. So when people do this work, when they get rid of that energetic clutter, they feel lighter, uplifted, calmer, supported, and even more deserving and able to manifest more in their life, in their space. And she knows that home is not just the space that you live in, it's where your frequency lives, and not only your frequency, but all kinds of other frequencies. She's the creator of Home Frequency Reset, which she'll talk about. And she offers one-on-one sessions where she blends grounded spiritual insight with practical guidance to help transform the unseen energy in homes that arrives from various sources. She also has a podcast called Intuitive Wisdom and a book called Make Ease Your Vibe, which I already mentioned. And welcome, Margaret. I'm so glad you're here.
Thank you so much. I'm very excited to be here with you.
So first of all, give us your story. How did you get started in this? And were you always feeling energy in spaces? Tell us your background.
I think now that I'm working with spaces, I think I did always feel energy, but it wasn't really talked about. When I grew up, emotions weren't really valued or allowed or safe. So I tucked everything in and I didn't really have anybody to talk to about it. But we moved around a lot as a kid, when I was a kid. And so I saw lots of spaces and I lived in lots of spaces. And I always kind of had a feeling of the energy. I didn't have a word to put with it though, but for me, it really came to a head during COVID, which I think changed a lot of our lives. And when COVID came, my world turned on its head, and I realized I couldn't keep going as is, and I really had to see what I could change. So that started working on my own energy and personal development. And I came about my spiritual awakening the slow way. I know some people get to have it from a kid, some people go through that traumatic experience that kind of awakens it. For me, it was just slow and steady. I started meditating, and about 3 years into meditation, my hands would really heat up. Or even when I put my glasses on after meditation, they would steam up. And so I looked up what that meant. And the hands, especially, are a sign of being a healer. So I started following different teachers and found a teacher that I wanted to study with, became an angel Reiki master, and started working with people. And then more recently, the angels kept pointing me towards spaces. They would bring podcasts up to listen to where all these things would come in. And I was like, that's really interesting. And I would get frustrated because I hadn't learned specifically how to work with spaces and I didn't understand the parallels. So I just sat down. For me, journaling is still the one of the best ways to communicate with my spirit guides. And I asked, and I said, how do I take what I've learned and the methods that I know and apply that to spaces? It sounds exciting, but I don't get the bridge. And then I just got a whole download of how I could apply that, and I've been doing that since.
Wow. And what, excuse me, what was your download, if I can ask?
Yeah, well, with people, I worked with the main chakras, our energy centers. So it was kind of showing me that color wise and space wise, how our spaces also have particular energies, room by room. They have different significance in the house. And so, how I could apply going I work intuitively and remotely. I don't do any in person at the moment. So you can tune in, and then I go room by room and I work with the archangels and they give me messages on what could help the space. So any like minor I want to say upgrades, but it's more like an energetic upgrade. It's not like usually a big change that's called on in. And then I lift the energy and they transmute it. So then help clear the energy in the space. So using the language that I had in this idea of the chakras and the portal, like energetic portals, and what opens to what, and then applying that to spaces and being open to that information in a different format, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it does. So are you actually being shown each room that you're going through, or is this all intuitive?
It's all intuitive. So I work, my clients give me an intention for the session and a blueprint of the space.
Mm.
So I have the outlines of all the rooms and the outside space. And then if there are any problem areas. So I don't visually actually see. Sometimes I get clues if there is something like, I worked with one woman who had like an heirloom teapot, and that was very loud for me. So there was someone communicating through that, and I saw that as I was going through. I do see a lot in my mind's eye when I work. Or I had another woman who had a lot of. It was funny. I didn't trust it. I learned that lesson with that session, but I saw like car parts at the entryway to the home. They lived out in the country, and I was like, well, my ego jumped in and was like, well, most people don't have car parts, but they obviously have something there that's kind of hindering this energy flow. And I wrote that down in the report. I always give a report afterwards. And she followed up and said, oh, yeah, my boyfriend's a car mechanic. He leaves lots of car parts out there. I was like, oh, of course, I should have trusted what they showed me.
Yeah, yeah,
But
yeah.
yeah, so sometimes I'll see bits, but I won't see the whole thing.
So energetic clutter is different than just clutter. Can
Physical,
you?
yeah.
Yeah. So explain the difference.
Sure, I'm sure, you speak a lot about it here, but we're all energy and everything is energy, and so we all have an energetic field and energetic residue. If you think about the energy field. My favorite example is if you were sitting in a room with your back to the entrance and someone walked in and was quiet, you would feel them walk in. You would feel that energy. You'd often be able to read it and know who it was too. Or if someone else had an argument in a room and you weren't there, and then you walk in the room after the argument, you can really feel that energy and know that there was an argument. So that's that energetic residue. So sometimes it's from emotions and something happening. It just builds up after time, kind of like dust. I find that it collects, especially in the corners of spaces. So some of it's just regular maintenance, and a lot of times clearing really helps after a big transition. So if you've had a big life event or if you've moved into a new space, that kind of a full clear out really helps. So that energetic dust or clutter can really affect us and pull in our moods. So it can block creativity. I've had clients who have difficulty with communication within the family and can't figure it out. And so when we clear the energy, that allows that better flow as well. So it kind of weighs on you. You really have to pay attention to how you feel and care about how you feel. And if you feel that stuckness or weight of something kind of holding you back, then that's usually a sign that the energy isn't as flowing. Physical clutter can affect it. When I see energy flow through a space, for me, it kind of looks like, the weather maps that we see where they draw the air
Mhm.
currents. It kind of looks like that. So if your space is free of physical clutter, the air is and the energy are physically moving through more easily, maybe more quickly, keeping things fresh. So it does help. But I don't like shame isn't helpful. So if you feel you have a lot of physical clutter, adding that to the mix is definitely not. But if you wanted to spend 5 minutes, set a timer, don't get lost in all the big projects there are to clean up, and just put things away, tidy up, you'll feel better seeing it. The air, the energy will flow better going through the space. It definitely does help that too.
So, as you're talking, I'm thinking, kind of maybe walk us through, for example, let's say my husband and I had a terrible fight, and maybe we resolved the fight, but you're saying that that energy would still be lingering. What do we do about that? What would you tell somebody to do about that?
Yeah. Follow your intuition. So, a lot of times, like if you think of the extreme examples, it could be easiest to connect. So, if you think of a house that hasn't been lived in for a few years, the air would feel really stale and the energy heavy. So, the first thing you would probably do is open the curtains and open the windows. So, that's one of my easiest thing. Let the air flow through. And even when I do sessions with my clients, I ask that day in the afternoon, they open the window for a while so the energy can flow out that we've cleared. So I think my top three are air. Opening the window is really easy. You could also spritz the air with like an essential oil spray, and that will change the frequency as well. Lighting can really help and change the mood. So think about how your lighting is affecting you, and maybe adding a lamp so you don't have harsh overhead light, or that can change the dynamics and the frequency and in the space. And then nature, bringing in plants or a picture of plant or some nature sounds into the space, that can also help change and start to move and clean and clear the energy.
So, could it be as simple as just recognizing it and saying, okay, we are releasing any leftover energy? Would that kind of thing work as well?
Yes, intention is very powerful. So if you wanted to say a prayer or a blessing or make a note, yeah. I mean, a lot of it goes with your favorite energetic tools. So if you do enjoy praying and speaking to spirit, then saying that intention and clearing the space, absolutely. If you enjoy sound and you have a sound bowl, walking around and especially in the corners, um, using the sound bowl, the space. If you have a smudge stick and you enjoy using that, then you can walk around the space, the perimeter of the space and around the doorways. That can help. Some people use a little salt water to help absorb that negative energy. That can help as well.
Mhm. Yeah. So, what about the energy of spirits that decided to hang out with you? I was just telling you earlier, one of my old old-time students who was with me for years made her transition about a year ago. And shortly after that, just randomly, my kitchen sink faucet would turn on, which is not an easy thing to happen. And it was so random, and I knew I wasn't doing it. And eventually, after 2 or 3 times, I said, okay, what's going on here? Who is doing this? And clearly I heard her name, and she started communicating with me and giving me messages to give her son. And whenever she needed to give a message to her son, my water would turn on. So
Wow, that's amazing.
yeah, it was amazing and so clear. And it was so part of her personality to be kind of like this
Hello.
say. And so, and anytime I would give her son a message, he'd go, that's exactly what I needed to hear. Thank you, Mom.
Oh,
You
wow.
know. So what about things like that? Do you work with spiritual energy and communicating and that sort of thing?
I do. I have helped spirits cross over in sessions if there was somebody lingering who did not belong to the space, like wasn't just bringing messages. Sometimes you're right. It's just a matter of acknowledging and receiving that message. Um, Spirit, as you know, works through energy. So anything that conducts that metal conducts energy. Sometimes people find coins. Or before we pushed record, shared a story where my cousin had stopped the treadmill multiple times. Treadmills work on electricity, more energy. That's something they can manipulate. So I do work. And so when I connect, usually at least 2 archangels step forward and their presence clear and how they're helping or working with this person in their life. And then also sometimes a loved one. Most recent session I had, her mother stepped forward and shared some messages and worked the whole clearing with me. And so I shared that with my client, and she was very excited because she had been thinking of her mother and had been doing some generational healing. So that it tied in for her.
Yeah. Yeah. So, I'm just going to ask you something about that energy. Well, it'll come back to me. So, I guess part of it for me is realizing that if something did happen in a house, let's say the former owners of the house, we're still kind of not letting go of the house, or maybe somebody actually died here, and we just never even consider that energetically and what it could be doing in our life. And it just opens up so many doors of awareness and the ability to let things like that stop affecting us and to help their transition. I
Yes.
just think it's so important. It really
It is
is.
very important. I think it's also important to understand that um, angels bring loving and positive messages, and if something is affecting you, it's not necessarily meant to be negative towards you. Like it may come across that as the symptom. Like I worked with a spirit who was stuck, who had this case before the people who had moved in, and she was very upset. But for me, it kind of came across, if for anyone who was like, when they have a tantrum and they're yelling at you or calling you names or just being crazy, it's easy to take it personally, but you actually know it's not personal. It's just the way they're expressing their emotions. So for the spirit, the same way, she was very intense, but she was just stuck. She was kind of having her own tantrum. So acknowledging her emotions and what she thought was missing from the space, and helping her cross over, showing love and receiving that back. It was a very positive experience, even though initially it had been causing negative symptoms. That was not the intention. So I think understanding that if something is happening, there is help. And like you said, if you can speak to it, so your faucet was going and you spoke and said, hey, who's here?
Yeah.
I know you're not going to drive me crazy. You're probably trying to tell me something.
Yeah. Yeah. I think it's also important to recognize that on some level we choose everything in our life. We choose where we live, maybe to find out that there's a spirit there that we can help, or we choose to go through experiences that allow us to awaken to energy.
Yeah.
It's interesting because before our show, I actually went onto Pinterest to find an interesting image to use for an email to tell my students about you. And I found there must have been at least 50 different websites that talk about, what to do if if this stuff is going on in your house, and how to clear the energy and what it feels like. And every single one, I didn't look at all of them, but every one that I looked at had the most ridiculous things to say. And I thought, oh my gosh, all this information is out there, but it's just so superficial and ludicrous sometimes. So I'm glad that you're bringing consciousness to this field. But yeah, so
Oh, thank you so
yeah,
much.
back to what I was saying, that on some level we choose everything. So why did
Oh,
we
yeah,
why did we
and
choose to buy
everything
this
is
house?
happening for you, not to you. I think
Yeah,
really keeping that
yeah,
open mind and knowing that, the universe is conspiring in your favor. The angels are all here waiting to help you. You just have to ask. So there's so much happening on the other side to your benefit, and you are loved and you're surrounded by that love. So yeah, not keeping understanding and moving forward with that intention is truth, but it is so also important and loving to yourself, that if something is happening, to realize it's not against you, it's not trying to hold you back, it's not trying to hurt you or confuse you. It's there's a message there for you.
yeah, even if your water faucet keeps turning on.
Even if your water bill's going up, yeah.
Yeah. The other thing that I saw when I was looking on Pinterest was several websites that talk about symptoms, how to know if there's something energetically going on in your home. And some of the symptoms I read through were like, you could very easily mistake some of these things for actually having a physical disease. So what
Oh no.
symptoms, yeah, what symptoms would you describe in terms of, recognizing energy going
Yeah.
on?
Well, emotions are energy in motion. So that's how we all receive energetic information. Your emotions are trying to tell you something. So caring about how you feel, and then bringing awareness to that. So if you have maybe a drawer that sticks in the kitchen or something, and it's really frustrating, but it's just annoying. It's not the end of the world, right? But every time you use it, you get frustrated. It kind of negatively, energetically pulls you down. And maybe you bring that bad attitude to the next thing, where you could take 5 minutes to fix it, and then it would be a positive thing in your day. So it could be little things like that. We're understanding that that energy kind of has ripple effects. For me, it was chipped bowls and old towels when I first started. Like when I grew up, you didn't throw anything away unless you really couldn't use it anymore. So chipped bowls and worn out towels were in. But they really brought me down. I felt so terrible using them and washing them and sharing them. And so I find when I was understanding how that was weighing on me energetically, then I realized, and I spent the $20, bought some new bowls. That's been years, and I still enjoy getting myself a bowl of soup or something, because it's like, look what I did for myself. Same with the towels. I got some new towels. It's not that big of an upgrade, but it really helps energetically. So once you start to notice the little things like that, if you feel stuck, if you're working in your dedicated workspace and that creativity is not flowing like you expected or it used to, or if maybe you're having trouble sleeping and that's not quite going as so anytime there's this like stuck energy and things aren't quite flowing, and you've tried what you know and it's not working, we don't see energy, so it's really easy to forget that piece. But it affects
Yes.
everything, because at our core we are all energy and everything is energy. So that can really help to look at the energetics of the space and how you have your space set up. But is it, what all is affecting you when you're in that space, and allowing that clearing and that energy to flow, um, then you feel the positive effects.
And so, using your chipped bowls example, would it also work to just realize, I deserve bowls that aren't chipped, you know?
Yes.
So that kind of a thing can shift things too.
It did. Yes, absolutely. When I first started this work, I wasn't quite on that train, so it didn't work for me.
Hmm.
So understanding the ripple effects of that energetic choice was more evidence for me to make the change. So yes, grabbing the best coffee cup you have for your own coffee, huge. Treat yourself like a princess, and use it and you feel good. And that feel good feeling will then translate to how you communicate with others and how you approach different situations during your day. That little choice creates a positive energetic spiral.
Mhm.
Absolutely. You definitely deserve it. And I use that when talking about like um, physical clutter or kind of the layout of a space. I often use that example. I think more easily in service of others and hosting, we think about the energy of the house. So when you have guests come over, you want the entryway to be clean and clear. You want them to feel welcome when they come in. That also energetically, your front door is linked to welcoming and opportunities. So for yourself, you would like to keep the outside and the inside of the entryway clear. But sometimes we tolerate with less for ourselves than we do for others. And if you were hosting more people, you would think, oh, how do I want them to flow through my space so they can get food and have nice music? How do I set the mood? What's the energy? So thinking about hosting yourself in your space, yes, you definitely deserve the best and setting yourself up for success. And that's what I really enjoy too, is that tying a lot of times when we don't think about it and we just collect things over time, the energy of those things reflect who we were and not who are becoming. So it kind of is a little energetic drag instead of opening up that space for opportunities and aligning yourself with who you want to be. And you can do that so easily energetically. And it can really help.
So I have lots of questions about feng shui, and I know you incorporate, just listening to you, I can hear some of the feng shui philosophy. But we need to take a break. So I'm going to ask you a bunch of things about that because I have questions, I have attitudes about it, I must admit. So we will be right back. I'm talking to Margaret Solorio, and we're talking about energetic clutter, and we'll be right back.
Om Times TV. Do you crave joy but feel stuck? Do you go through life feeling constantly triggered and frustrated? Fear is likely the culprit, and subconscious fear is likely sabotaging you. Perfect Life Awakening is a time-tested, spiritually based approach to inner transformation created by Royce Morales. For over 40 years, she has helped people get to the origins of subconscious fears and ultimately help them find their true purpose and a life full of joy. Sign up for Perfect Life Awakening today at roycemorales.com. You deserve to go from triggered to empowered, shifting your life with Perfect Life Awakening. Imagine becoming a super influencer. Reinvent yourself, invest in your brand, and then manifest your success with a robust spheric approach. Om Times Media and Broadcasting offers a unique and multifaceted way to become the spiritual and conscious influencer you deserve to be by putting your message across our powerful platform with its proven record of integrity and excellence. Through our produced shows, Om Times offers the opportunity to become a social media TV personality, a radio show host, an Om Times magazine columnist, and a syndicated podcaster, all in one shot. By live streaming your show on Om Times TV and broadcasting it across the extensive Om Times radio and TV networks, you become more than a host. You become an ambassador and a force for positive change. Om Times. Open yourself to the possibilities.
I want to eat apples and bananas. I need to eat apples and bananas. Why can't I eat apples and bananas?
Support the Feeding America nationwide network of food banks to help provide meals to those in need. Join us at feedingamerica.org.
Welcome back. I'm talking with Margaret Solorio, And I forgot to mention, I always forget to mention, if you are watching this live and want to either ask a question or make a comment, feel free to do so. Those messages come right to us. So feel free to share anything or ask anything that you need to ask. Okay, right before the break, I mentioned that I have thoughts about feng shui. So first of all, I want to ask you how do you incorporate it? How do you feel about it? Tell us a little bit how that works with your work.
Yeah, I incorporate what I know. So the angels can always only use what you know in when they deliver the message. I have started studying it on my own. I am not certified, so I'm not I would say an expert in it, but I appreciate the um the different factors that it brings in and this idea of balancing energy and the energy flow.
And the placement of things and what each room symbolizes and all of that.
Yeah, I appreciate that because I've always done that naturally. So when I realized that there was a study of like someone who's developed a culture that's developed these theories and practices, reasons why, I find it really interesting. Like for me, the bed should also always be facing the door of the bedroom. That's how I have always felt safe in my spaces, and I always had to move around beds to make it that way because then I could sleep. That's something that came naturally to me. I didn't realize everyone didn't do that until I started getting into this work and reading about it. So I think there are little shifts that again are not meant to like restructure how you have things, but they're those little unseen flow of making it easier and for you and bringing that ease into the space that's helpful, has positive effects.
As you were saying about the bed, my bedroom is so tiny that the bed will only fit
One
not
way.
toward the door. So anyway, just giving my thoughts about feng shui. I first of all used to do interior design for years
Oh,
and
wonderful.
also an artist. And when I'm in a space that is minimal, I feel so uncomfortable that it's like, oh my God, you don't have art, you don't have beauty in your house. I have some people would walk in here and say, "Oh my God, there's so much stuff." But to me, everything is beauty and it brings me joy and it is
Yeah.
who I am. So I think I feel like there's something maybe that needs to be added to feng shui so that do you know what I'm saying? It's kind of like
I
I
do.
love the
I don't appreciate when there are hard, fast rules, like this
right,
color
that's what I'm
means
saying.
this, end
The
of story.
rules,
Like,
the
well,
rules.
okay, but maybe to someone else. Like my favorite color is green. So, and I really enjoy mountains. So I have lots of natural nature prints. There's a good bit of green and mountain pictures up in my home. Is that for everybody? No, but it really makes me feel calm and like having a good perspective and wonderful in my own home. So we all different things bring us joy, and that's a beautiful expression of each of our uniqueness. So I do think you're right. I take it with a grain of salt because some of the things are helpful, like earth tones. If you think of earth tones as yellow and brown and those kind of things, um, or earthen shapes, more square, earth materials, more wood. Sometimes when I'm working in a space and it's like, oh, this space needs more grounding, the message I receive is think to the earth. And so these are some suggestions for the space that I can then make that say, okay, think of bringing in these symbols of earth that help balance and ground this space so you can feel that grounded energy. Um, but I agree. What brings me beauty, but I think that's where it comes into listening to your intuition, caring about how you feel, and not expecting big drastic changes. Like, you don't need to clear out your whole home to feel good. That would not feel good to you. So
Mhm.
what can little changes you could do if you feel stuck in one area that, oh, maybe if I just shift this, or maybe if I incorporate this, that will help lift up the space.
And I know we're talking about space, but do you ever incorporate, why does this area feel uncomfortable to me? What is it triggering in me? That kind of thing. Why is it that when I walk into my kitchen, even if I've cleaned it and I've done energy stuff, there's something about that for me to look at.
I don't do that work right now. So when I do a work through the spaces, the angels give me that information. They say, oh, there's a lot of this feeling here. So we either need to clear it or we need to address it. That comes through to me in the messages. Sometimes I work with those feelings in relation to things. So perhaps there's a thing an object you own that was a gift from someone, or it's not really being used, but you feel guilty about giving it away, but you kind of trip on it every day. Like that, how is that affecting you? Could you let go, find a good way to make peace with it, let it go, somebody else could use it, and you could open up opportunity for something new to be in your space in life. So in relation to specific things, it comes up, and specific memories or emotions to clear. But space by space, it's that energy kind of blueprint of the energy comes through in the reading.
Okay. And so what about, I know we've talked a little bit about this, but what about somebody that has attracted some kind of a negative entity that's really wreaking havoc in their space and in their life? What would you say to them, or what would you do to help them with that?
Well, definitely, I would say ask for help. Find someone you trust, whether it's me or someone else, to come help you in this space. And then, in my experience, the energy of the spirit. Obviously, everyone has different things they're working on, but to some degree is a reflection of energy or emotions that need to be resolved within the physical people who are in the space. So it's when I would then work with the spirit and those emotions come up, I can then bring up that emotion and make those suggestions. So then it sometimes is helpful. It's an awareness piece to go, oh, this is what the spirit was dealing with in the space. That's kind of what's leaking out and I'm experiencing. How can then I address my piece?
Yeah. So you don't spiritually or intuitively communicate with the spirit, or the angels do that for you? How does that work?
Oh no, I've communicated with the spirit. It's teamwork. So the last one that I helped cross over, I communicated with her and kind of listened to her, acknowledged what she wanted for the space, kind of talked her down and explained the process of what would open, and then the angels opened the door to the light so she could go to the light. And I waited for that and held that space on my end.
What have you noticed in terms of why certain spirits hang on? Is there like a standard reason, or is each one individual?
Each one is individual. It's usually some unresolved emotion, and there's often a lot of confusion. Like, they almost just need somebody to explain what's happening, and bring a little clarity to the situation, but then also to listen and acknowledge, the the emotions, the energy that's there. So, um, feeling there, yeah, it could be all different things. But there's something strong that they like don't feel recognized or don't feel is being addressed or is being missing, or they can recognize that they're missing in the equation, but not why, or it's just the focus is on the frustration. So giving clarity to the situation and then listening and acknowledging the emotions and then having a plan of how that can be addressed or valued or respected, like give some respect due. That seems to be the process for me for helping.
One of the things that I've experienced when working with houses and people and homes and whatever, there was a situation where there was a spirit hanging out in somebody's home, and when I communicated with it, it was shocked to find out that it had died.
Oh,
And
there you go.
it was hanging out
It's
because what the
confusion.
hell is going on here? Yeah. Has that happened with you?
Um, Not directly. No, not like there is some that explains the situation. When I
Yeah,
explain their position in the equation, it's more comes across as confusion. Like, this is my space. Why is this happening?
yeah,
Kind of a sense.
yeah, yeah. And sometimes it's hard for them to accept that they're dead. So,
Oh yeah. Well, it's if you don't understand her, I guess if you weren't ready, then it's confusing and scary. And then seeing a loved one at the light and being encouraged to go towards the light and reminded that the angels are there. But I don't know why it still surprises me that for all that angels do to us, it almost takes someone who's been earthside to acknowledge that either the heaviness of earth or the weight of living a lifetime. It's somehow I'm honored and excited to be an ambassador in that way, but it always kind of is like, oh, I need to be able to see you because I understand what it's like to be here, and then they can keep going, make
hmm,
the transition.
yeah. Hmm. So, give us a couple of other things that people can do to help to start clearing their own space. Of course, they can contact you, but what if they just want to kind of recognize something is going on and want to maybe do some energy clearing on their own?
Yeah, you froze.
Oh,
You froze for a second. I'm not sure if you
okay.
can hear me.
Yeah, I can hear you. Yeah.
The timer's still going, so I'm going to start talking.
Yes.
Um, I would say go with your intuition. So what feels good for you? You are the magnet in the space. So definitely take care of your own energy, whether that means taking a minute out to Yeah, absolutely. Um,
Oh, I think we're out of sync,
okay,
huh?
we're catching up.
Okay.
Just checking. Yeah, absolutely. So I would say everyone is their own energetic magnet. I think we are a little bit out of sync. So starting with your own energy and taking a few minutes each day, whether that's journaling or sitting with your cup of coffee in the quiet and listening to nature, going for a quick walk, whatever helps you be able to tune in and then hear your own feelings and care about that. That's the first place. And then then you can listen to your intuition in terms of what tool works best for you. If Oh, you can also play to your favorite scents. That works a lot for me and for my clients. So I'm a very visual person. So sometimes wafting the smoke from my smudge stick feels in tune, or saying that blessing out loud. I can feel very actively involved. Sometimes it's sound. I'll get a notion like, oh, this space needs to be cleared and I don't have a sound bowl, and I'll just clap really loud to break up that energy and get things flowing. Um, Trying to think. And we talked about scents. You can light a candle, or there are natural or essential oil sprays, or you can make your own that you can spritz around, and that literally changes the frequency and changes the energy and helps clear it.
Okay. So tell us about your book. Let's see your book.
Are we back in sync?
I think so. Can you hear what I'm saying? I think we are having a weird technical issue here.
I think we're back in sync now.
I can hear you.
Oh, okay, wonderful. Now I can hear you. I think you asked about my book kindly. Is that true?
Yes. Yes. Show us your book. Tell us about it.
Well, thanks. My book is called Make Ease Your Vibe. There it is. It's available on Amazon, both paperback and Kindle versions. So this is from the first 3 years of my journey, the lessons I learned in terms of energy, mindset, and time. I actually found my relationship with time to really be affecting a lot, and it kind of was also my introduction into manifestation and co-creating with the universe. Um, and so thinking about that expectation, like it's almost like a cosmic order you put out. For me, it was I struggled with my morning routine and getting everybody out the door, and I always felt like I didn't have enough time. And so I would say, I don't have enough time, and get really frustrated. And the loving universe would send me lots of things to make sure I didn't have enough time. So when I learned to flip that script and actually believe that I have time for everything and anything is possible for me, things opened up and it was much more ease in my day and flow. And I didn't feel like I was going any faster, but I would be early for the morning routine. So things really, I could see them working out in my favor. So those practical strategies for, again, time and managing your own energy and then flipping your mindset. I had a lot of negative self talk to work through, and also um, just language and paradigm kind of shifts. Like my language, there was a lot of should. I should do this and I should do that. And that wave's really heavy. So flipping that script from should to could. Right. I need to do the dishes. I personally despise doing dishes, but when I, could convince myself, oh, I could do that. That's a way of taking care of my family, or, flipping that mindset and how you approach things takes that energetic weight off. And I list all those ticks and trips.
So you say flipping the script. Is that just saying, like you said, could instead of should, or does it go deeper than that for you?
Yeah, it does go deeper with that, but I think finding those, it kind of, you need to, I found I need to stack the evidence up for my ego. And so finding the little places where, like the should to could was the first thing, catching myself saying that, or explaining myself. I used to explain myself a lot and feel like I had to prove myself. And I realized I was basically arguing for my limitations, like putting this energetic box around, like, oh, this is why, instead of leaving that door open to, hey, this is how I feel now. This is what's best for me. I trust I'm making the best decision I can. And I'm open to what can happen that's even better. So, this different mindset and energy, it's definitely gone deep. But I think when you start, there's so much to get through. You start at the surface.
Yeah, yeah. I find that a lot of people think that it just is superficial like that. And they say a few affirmations and they flip the script and they change their story. And, I think it gets frustrating after a certain point because things maybe shift a little bit. They don't get all the way down to the core. So, that's that. Give myself a little plug here. That's what I do with people. I get to help them discover, why would you have the belief that you don't have enough time? Where did that come from? And why do you believe that you have to prove yourself to people? Where did that come from? And we get down to the core of, the beliefs and where they were formulated and neutralize them. So, yeah, but
That's really important.
yeah,
Excuse me. And I think when you're going that deep, it's really important to have a guide or a mentor like you, because it can be, you kind of get lost. Like you said, you forget that you've been on this train going down these train tracks for years. And to
yeah,
turn that train around, that locomotive engine's pretty steady going on that track. It takes a lot of effort to turn that train around. And it
yeah,
doesn't happen right away. And it's not going to, but it's really easy to get frustrated. So when you have someone like yourself who's been down that path and goes, oh no, it really is better. Keep going. This is
yeah,
just part of the process. Then you can lean on that process and
yeah,
not on the, mind chatter that your ego bombards you with.
yeah. Yep. I tell people that become my students, I say, you're given two tools. One is a shovel and the other is a mirror. That's all you need.
No.
Yeah.
Yeah. A lot of shoveling.
So, yeah. So tell us about the home frequency reset that you offer people. Tell us about that.
Yeah. There are 3 options right now. Again, I tune in remotely, so you don't have to be there. There's a mini reset for just 1 room. So sometimes I work with yoga studios, but mostly it's with homes. And then there's a home energy refresh. So that's intended if you're selling your home, like you just want to clear out. Maybe it's not selling as easily. So we do just a clear energetic refresh. And then I do a deep home reset. So if you're living in the space and um, you want to use it and you want to talk more about those tools for helping maintain the energy, that is a deeper one, and it give the angelic guidance and any loved ones that come through during the session. And then there's a follow-up session. as well. And each one of those, you get a report afterwards. I email you a report about a day or two afterwards, so you know exactly room by room what came up and any tips or suggestions from the angels. So yeah, that's available right now. And like you mentioned, I've got my book on Amazon, and I also have my podcast, Intuitive Wisdom, that can find anywhere.
Okay. So you said something about maintaining it. What little hints you could give people once they feel as though some of the energy has been cleared, the energetic clutter has been swept out the door? What do you recommend that people do if they were just give them one or two hints to just kind of end off our discussion? What would you recommend for people?
Yeah, my favorite is air. So, rain or shine, heat or cold, I make sure I open the windows in the house at least once a day. Getting that refresh through the air, it feels better, it keeps it healthier, it helps the energy move. Some sort of fresh air for your home too, because your home is alive and has energy. I think that's the easiest. If you really don't think you can do it, you can refresh the air with, we talked about an essential oil spray or maybe lighting a scented candle that's natural, that feels good. Um, and then second for me is lighting. So you know, really play to those biorhythms that we are diurnal animals. So when open the windows and allow that sunshine to come in, allow the space to absorb that good energy too. And then this ritual of like closing the curtains at the night and opening them during the day, you know, playing into that. So lighting, if there isn't natural lighting in the space, then thinking about how the lighting that you've added affects you and how you maybe you could make that better for yourself. And then last is still for me nature. You have beautiful plants behind you, but any way that you can, I think we are happiest in nature. That it's such a wonderful rhythm to tune to. So anything that sounds, looks, even just a print, or maybe you buy yourself some cut flowers and have those out, you know, something that makes you smile and raise that vibration.
Well, as you can tell, plants are my passion. This is
Yeah,
just fun over here, but
must be a beautiful
because
space.
my husband laughs at me because no matter when I go out anywhere, I always come home with a plant. And
Oh, well, you must be good at maintaining them, and that's such a
I,
beautiful
I
ritual too.
am. And they talk to me. They are definitely my energetic buddies over here, and we have long discussions. So,
There
okay.
you go.
Yeah.
That's
So,
fantastic.
yeah. Anything, I'm trying to fill the last 2 minutes here. Anything else you would love to say to the people listening and watching? Any
Well,
other
you
words of
said
wisdom?
yeah, you said it beautifully before where you deserve this. Everyone deserves this. So I think taking a pause and not feeling like you have to have a reason, you know? I mean, I always say it's extra helpful after a big life transition to do these energetic clearings, but you deserve that peace and calm and ease at any time in your life, and your home is there to support you. It is there to help you feel better. It is not there to make you feel bad or to be a drag on more things to do. Like, what are little things that you could change to feel better in your space, to have that space support you and all that you are due and all that you are becoming. So really be kind to yourself because you more than deserve it, and know that you're perfect. You're exactly where you need to be in the moment you need to be, and who you are in this moment is everything you need. So that it's okay to move. It doesn't have to be a drastic change. Little changes are there just to support you and to help you. Um, and yeah, I just think it's very exciting for your listeners that they have already opened that door, open the door to possibility. That's a huge first step.
Yeah. Yeah. So how do people find you?
Oh, thank you. Best way is my website, deliciousease.com. From there, you can link to the podcast, which you can find on any of your favorite podcast players. I'm also on social media at Delicious Ease. And yeah, I would be happy to hear from anyone.
Great. Delicious ease. I love that.
Delicious
Well,
Ease.
thank you so much, Kay Margaret. I appreciate all that you're doing. Keep up the good work, and you deserve support for what you're doing as well. And
Well, thank you so much.
I hope to see everybody next Wednesday, and just keep on trusting your intuition and
Amen.
deserving a space that supports you and deserving a life that supports you. Thank you so much for being here, and I'll see everybody next week.
Thank you.
Thanks.